Welcome to the Q.A.C. Team podcast series with your host, Charles Luttrell. Our series features leaders and business owners in your community discussing the customer experience, employee satisfaction, and performance improvement. Our series will help share strategic ideas for coaching and mentoring through mystery shopping in a post-pandemic economy. And now here's your host, Charles Luttrell. I had the pleasure of speaking with Evan from Underground Pizza Company earlier. And let's go ahead and take a listen to that podcast.
Hey, my name's Evan, owner of Underground Pizza Company. I started this company in the pandemic as it really was just a cottage business, not even a cottage business at first, was making pizzas at home during COVID shutdown because my business in the concert industry and live entertainment was shut down. That essentially led to people offering me money and being like, hey, can we buy these pizzas? Which turned into, at one point I was selling 100 pizzas a week out of my house, which was wild. Then
That's pretty impressive.
Pop-ups. Yeah, we were doing then we started doing pop-ups, and we had a ghost kitchen, and that turned into, we got a short-term lease and now long-term leases, and we're in Baltimore City, downtown in Power Plant, Towson, up by the Circle, right off campus, and Silver Spring, right on Georgia Avenue, right outside of DC, are our 3 locations, and we're working on new locations.
Nice. And where are your new locations going to be located?
We're looking at a project in Virginia.
Oh, nice.
It should be pretty interesting.
Ah.
It'll kind of this one will kind of cross over both businesses, which will be interesting. It'll be it'll be quite an inception of my life.
Oh, nice. I can't wait to hear about that. I'll do another podcast when that one comes open.
Yeah.
So, my next question was going to be, why did you decide to business owner? But I think you pretty much cleared that up. But if you want to talk a little more about that.
I mean, I think early on, like there were things, I think in the concert industry, it was you either work for somebody or you work for yourself, with the goal of selling it to Live Nation and AEG. I think that was kind of the thought process when we were first being on the independent promoter track.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of took off. I mean, we used to do live music, hip hop shows, live music, local bands, all that stuff. And it kind of turned into, all right, well, we were doing dance music stuff. We had both, me and my partner in that, had both been active in going to shows and being at dance music shows and being involved with other larger companies with that. And we just started throwing dubstep shows, and then dubstep blew up. And then we've kind of went on that track for about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And we had done some stuff in it before, but never as really independent promoter. We had done some stuff individually, but as like Steve's promo was not really doing EDM in, 2005, 2000. Then me and my partner happened to be working at the same venue club that did that stuff.
Right. Were you involved in the what is that festival that was at Preakness?
Moonrise?
Yeah, Moonrise. Did you guys get involved?
Yeah, I was one of the founders. I was one of the founders of that festival. We still own a small piece. Insomniac owns that festival now.
Oh, wow.
Which is awesome for us. We wanted to, it with the pizza thing and everything else going on, and like how bad the industry, festivals didn't do well this year. We're actually, our plates were just full. And so we were like, we had this opportunity to, turn the page on that festival and like move it over to Insomniac and let them take over.
Oh, okay.
And we took the opportunity. It was, it was definitely a good one for us.
Right.
And so it's given us the opportunity, given me the opportunity to kind of focus more of my attention on pizza and not have, running that festival was a full-time job in itself.
I can imagine. Yeah.
On top of doing the regular, like 2 jobs, like it was like 2 full-time jobs. So I'm not having that on my plate was kind of a blessing this year.
Right. I can imagine. Oh my gosh. So, and my next question was going to be, why did you choose,
the pizza industry, but I guess like you said, you were just kind of slinging it home and
It was,
with the
yeah,
ghost
well, it was,
kitchen out of the
I was
house.
Detroit style pizza because there was nowhere I was living in it at the time. There was nowhere short of DC that was selling it. And so I was driving down there and I was like, the pizza I was buying was just kind of okay, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going this was like my get out of the house for 2 hours thing. Every other week I would like drive on like drive down to DC. This went on for like 3 times, 4 times. And I would drive down and pick up pizza from Emmy Squared. And I was like, it was just kind of okay. They're known for their pizza, but I think their New York restaurants are much better than
Mm-hmm.
their other ones. But the DC one was just kind of, and so
Yeah.
I was like, I can probably make better pizza, like better Detroit style. And so I just started playing around with dough and then made some for my birthday. And then it turned into it. And then somebody, I forget who it was. Somebody like offered me money for one. And I was like a light bulb went off.
Yeah,
And
I
that,
saw
with Detroit style pizza. And I've got pizza. I have pizza experience. I worked at the dining hall at the pizza station because I actually was the only one with pizza experience in the dining hall. And I worked in high school at a pizzeria, but never
mm-hmm.
like making really. It was more driving, never making the pizza. But in college, it was making 500 to 700 pizzas every night.
Right.
For the
Yeah, I saw on when I read the story, I saw that. I don't know how true this is. That's why I'm glad we're talking. Is it true there was somebody paid you $100 to make them a pizza and deliver it to them? Is that the right story?
There was to ship it to them. Somebody paid me dollars to like ship them a pizza.
That's awesome.
That was like the story. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one. That's like that. We had a group chat. That's what it was. We had a group chat during COVID that was a lot of industry people and like significant others and like we all used to just post what we were cooking. And so
Right.
I posted in that. I think that's where I posted it. And somebody in the chat was like, I'll pay you on those. And I was like, I'll figure this out.
I'll figure it out.
Like definitely
Man.
on shipping that pizza, I don't think. I actually
Yeah.
ended up doing pizza at his wedding in LA. Like I flew out to LA.
Oh wow.
I have a friend who does concessions and was doing the catering for the wedding and like went to their commissary and made pizza dough and like after dinner, like party, blah blah blah, all this, and then like the late night thing was like pizza, and I was like
Right.
in the catering kitchen, like making pizza at like 11 o'clock at night at the wedding.
That's great.
So,
That's a dedicated pizza man right
I
there.
honestly should have just shipped, like I should have freighted dough out or something like that. Like would have probably been a smarter play than
A little bit better.
Yeah, it was a
Right.
little stressful.
Oh man, I can imagine.
It was stressful flying, driving. I got a car, and then I like had to weird area, industry city in like LA, outside of LA, and like pick up the ingredients and then to like this commissary and unload the stuff, and then like it was quite a task, but I got it done, and everyone loved the pizza. So
that was an experience, right? I mean,
yeah,
you'll never forget it.
and it was cool because it was like, all right, I can just show up at any kitchen and do this, like, and make it work. It's kind of
Yeah, that's what I love about ghost kitchens, man. It's like you can go anywhere. You got the ingredients, man. You can make whatever you want, and
right. Cut off, but you can edit it.
Yeah, that's fine.
2, 3. Yeah, so like in a ghost kitchen, if your food's simple enough and they have the basic that convection ovens, whatever you need, ranges, fryers, like you can go into most places and cook. Most kitchens have the basic equipment.
Right.
Unless it's super complex food, you should be able to accomplish it in most kitchens.
Right.
And that's
So let's
kind of
talk.
opened up the game. The other interesting thing with ghost kitchens was it opened up the game for a lot of these places that don't have a fully like busy kitchen Like I know some
Right,
of these,
right.
I've read some articles on some of these companies, like Applebee's did an analysis of like how much of their line they're using, and then figured out how to like rent out the percentage of the percentage they're not using for those times, and like create other concepts off of it or whatever. And I have some friends who are doing that with their restaurant, where like they're bar food, but then they're doing a Mexican concept that's and taco concept that's only in Uber Eats, and like
Oh,
that's
wow.
it's they you can build your own ghost concept within your own thing and just have a secret menu that people can order off of online.
Right, right. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
See, I want to talk a little bit about vacations, because I know I read the story about some of these places had went out during the pandemic, and you kind of saw these as locations that would be good for your
Yeah, there was
prototype of like
yeah,
your style of pizza.
right. Well, there was, I think it's location. Well, I think location from a macro is important for us. We don't, in the traditional sense, like I don't look at like power plant is most restaurant owners look at power plant as, oh, it's so hard to get people there, and like they're not busy all the time, the traffic. And I'm like, well, it's centrally located to 83, and it's centrally located to the east and the west side of the city. So it makes sense for us because I know I can get people there. And that's, some of the places that went out during the pandemic, like Alazo, it was kind of, they had some family, some stuff they wanted to shift their attention to. I think they had a death in their family. And it was like, they didn't want to do that location anymore. They had their Bethesda location. They had like two or three other restaurants over by Bethesda. And essentially, I was like, this is great. It's just outside of DC. It's in, is not easy to get to, but like I don't think anything easy to get to from other places in Montgomery County. Like
I
everyone's
have
like,
to agree.
oh, it's like 45 minutes from Gaithersburg to your location. I'm like, that's crazy to me because it's 45 minutes from Baltimore to Gaithersburg. Like, but it's having a location that's easy to get to from the highway, is located, our delivery range reaches into DC. Like those things are important, I think, to a restaurant, how we are, like how we've structured this restaurant, which is high quality, high volume. um and so yeah, I mean, and then the Towson location was just an empty, I mean, that place has been empty for a while. It was empty for 7 years, I found out from BG&E. So
Yeah, I was going to tell you that I think that place was empty for a while down there in Allegheny.
we tried to open, and
Uh-huh.
there was no gas service. The gas service is fine. Eventually, they were like, "Oh yeah, we cut off the gas service 7 years ago." I'm like, "Well, that explains it, doesn't it?"
Right. That was a
Yeah,
challenge in itself. Right.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to talk about your pizza a little bit, because I had a
Mhm.
chance to taste your pizza and I was blown away. Yeah, the crust was, I mean, it's as you advertised. The crust, when you bite into it, it's a little hard on the outside, but then when you bite it, so moist and doughy on the inside.
Yep.
And I like the concept of how the sauce is on top of all the toppings, because I'm a pizza connoisseur, man. I love pizza. And this tops them all, because I'm not a real big sauce guy. So when I get the
Hmm.
sauce up top and then I get the toppings, man, it's just like it just, you went right to my heart.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that's like, the Detroit styles. I think we've taken a little bit of a different approach with some to use a higher quality and create
Hmm.
that kind of that crust and that unique, some of the unique flavors. And like if you read our reviews, it definitely goes over some people's heads, and some people don't like it. um no, it's we're selling, remind myself, because I'll hyper focus on like one negative review or like whatever, and I'm just like, look, we're selling. We did this month, I don't know what we did. I need to look at last month, but we're on track to do like 10,000 tickets across the three restaurants this month. Like
That's pretty
10,000
impressive.
tickets,
Yeah.
meaning like, each
Wow.
ticket's 2 to 4 people. Like you're talking about 40,000 people are choosing our pizza. And like, yeah, we're there, but I know we're doing something right if we're selling as much pizza as we're selling. And
Right.
so, and we just kind of do like to chirp sometimes. Like I try to keep my head down, and I know we're on track. I know we're on a mission. I know we're hitting all of our goals. We're moving faster than I thought we would. Like all of that's, I think when I talk to restaurant people, I was in the industry, and I'll like, talk about
Right.
numbers, because I want not in a braggy way, can you tell me that I'm doing this right? Because like I have no, I haven't, other
Right.
than the I'm not in a restaurant before. I delivered
Right.
pizza in high school. Like that's my main. It's a really
He's
good
like,
pizza place, but and
he's like,
taking.
I didn't run a place. I just delivered them.
But we've looked at things. I'm like, what? I don't like a restaurant. Like I go to my friend's restaurant and I see his front of house people. Like I won't put a phone line in. Like, why do you need to call? Like, so I can 50 people a day calling us to ask sizes and how many people they feed. That's on the like. So that even when they call now, if they call our phone, it gives them a message, text line only, and they get a text message back. If you have these questions, you are frequently just to avoid.
Very
But
nice.
it's just like looking at all those things and then looking at our food and going, well, what's going to make this stand out? What's going to make it different? And it's quality ingredients. Like a funny example is like everyone's, oh, we make our own cheese. We make our own cheese. And I'm like, I got into a deep conversation with the guy's like a mathematician and a pizza connoisseur and a food. He's like a food not a food antagonist. He's like he like calls out toxic people in the food industry. But
Oh, one of those.
we were talking about cheese, and I was like, look, like I would make my own cheese, but like I feel like if I'm buying curds off the back of a truck, not all curds I don't know anything about making cheese. I know almost nothing. I know I can buy cheese from like certain cheese vendors and it's better. But
Right.
like I'm like, not all curds are created equal, right?
Right.
So like I got into this conversation with him, and on Saturday I found a dairy in Hartford that sells cheese curds. And I'm like, this has to be better than the cheese curds I can buy off the back of the truck. So when I say the back of the truck, it's like the food suppliers. But like not all, like I know if I'm getting local milk and grass grazed cows and all this stuff, this cheese has to be better. And I have a guy that can make cheese, but so I bought cheese curds. But it's just like that's how we look at everything. I'm just like, well, what we make our own ranch. Like
Oh,
it's
wow.
not that difficult, but it's not that common. Like most people
Right.
just buy a thing of Ken's and sell it. And we did that for a while. And like people complain. Like people are like, oh, like fucking $2 for ranch. Excuse me if cursing's not allowed. But I'm just like,
That's fine. You're
yeah,
good. You're
like
good.
we're making it from like quality buttermilk and like ingredients by hand. Like every single dressing on our menu except the blue cheese at this point, which we only have because we have wings. Every dressing on our menu is made from scratch. Every sauce is made from scratch, except for
Wow.
our buffalo sauce isn't made from scratch. But like hot honey, red sauce, vodka sauce, pesto, everything. Corto olive oil from California, which is the best taste on the market, like for food service.
Right.
Newsflash to everyone listening: Italy is not sending us their best olive oil. Like, if anybody want like, literally, I came to this realization because we used to buy these $46 a case San Marzano tomatoes, and like, I was like, we have to be using San Mars for these because it's like, it's San Mars, and like, the genetics and the phenotypes and the, those tomatoes are the best. And then one day the Stanislaus rep came in and was like, taste this can of tomatoes. And I tasted that. And I tasted the San Mars tomatoes, and I was like, Stanislaus is better. And it's like, that was the day I realized. And I also tasted Corto that day for the first time. And I said, Italy's not sending us their best stuff. They're just not. Why would they?
Yeah. I heard about Stanislaus tomatoes, man. They're like the top.
Phenomenal tomatoes. And we do our cook time because my whole thing with the tomato sauce, you noticed it's a little sweet. We don't use any sugar. We use there's two specific strains of carrots that we
Mhm.
use. We use a Bolero carrot, or we use a Mokum carrot, which is an even higher sugar content. We use that to cut the acid because I think with the thicker crust pizza, the sweeter sauce is better.
Yeah.
Um, I don't. I know what's funny is like I used some of our sauce on some thin crust I was working on. I was like, this is disgusting because like I think the sweet tomato sauce on the thin crust doesn't work. But like when we went through this process with Stanislaus, like we cut our cook time on our sauce cut by 70% because there's such a brilliant flavor and they're canned so fresh and so quickly. It's 8 hours from vine to can
Right.
at the Stanislaus facility,
Hmm.
and that preserves the flavor that like I don't have to sit there and beat up the tomatoes to get a good flavor on the stove. And it was taking us 3 hours to cook tomato sauce with the tomatoes
Right.
from Italy because they just weren't good. They weren't as good. They were almost putrid in comparison um to the Stanislaus tomatoes.
Right. Right. And that's great. Yeah, I definitely when I tasted your pizza, that was like I said, it was the first time I ate it.
Yeah.
And I eat a lot of pizza, man. And I'm a big Papa John's fan just because of
Oh no.
the taste. But you know,
Yeah. No, it's familiar. It's funny because I talk about when I'm like, a lot of places are popular because they're familiar,
because they're
right?
familiar.
Right.
Yep.
And it's when we were talking, I was talking to my girlfriend about Grotto Pizza yesterday, and we were talking, and I was like, people just eat it because it's beach pizza. We're down at the beach. We're down in Rehoboth right now, and I was like, it's
Hmm.
popular because people grew up eating it, and it's familiar, and that's
Yeah.
it.
And they've
Like,
been
it's
around
not
for
good. Like, I had it for the first time probably 5 years ago, and I was like, this pizza's awful. But like, I would probably go home to like certain pizza places that I grew up with, and other people who like Grotto would probably be like, this pizza's awful because it would just be familiar.
right. Yeah. I mean, you know, your pizza takes the top. I mean, I've eaten a lot of pizza. I mean,
Yeah,
pizza's
I
my
appreciate
favorite.
that.
Yeah, and your pizza tops, man. When I ate it, I was I was reluctant because I'm not a real deep dish thick crust guy. I like like the Papa John's crust, a little thinner, bite into it. But this, when I bit into your crust, man, it just took me right to heaven.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's where we're going.
It was
Kind of
really
what
good.
it's like, it's got the salt, it's got the sweet, it's got, the Parmesan, it adds some, and there's just, I think the sauce, the tomatoes it's a brilliant flavor. I mean, I get into arguments with people on the internet all the time who are like, your pizza sucks. And I'm like, it doesn't suck. Your taste sucks. But it's just like, it's,
You can't
it's,
please
it's,
everybody.
no,
Yeah.
we're either not going to, we're going to roast them on Yelp. It's kind of our
Right.
aesthetic. But, no, and I know, so like, I'm sure about our pizza, the quality of our pizza, because I'm so obsessed with it.
Right.
Whereas like things we use a butter in the pan it's a grass fed butter. That's like one of our
Wow.
secrets, but I don't even like I've said it so many times that I'm just like it's not a secret anymore, I
Not a
guess.
secret
But
anymore, right?
somebody I had somebody brought in like that like commodity butter, I would call it, and
Uh-huh.
had it. I walked in one day and saw it, and I love my shit
Yeah.
like I mean really like probably one of the angriest I've ever been in the restaurant. But I'm just like, this is literally our whole identity, and somebody's just like, oh, I couldn't find, I didn't want to go to Costco, or I couldn't find it, or they didn't have it, so we just ordered this. And I'm just like, yo, like this is not it.
We're not doing this again.
When we're talking about like, when we use heavy cream, it's like 40% fat cream from like, it's like good heavy cream. And just sure, we could do 36%, no one would know, but like they might subconsciously.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
um
I hear you.
yeah.
So, so you started in the pandemic in 2020
uh
when times were crazy and difficult. And I remember, going through downtown Bel Air. I live in Abingdon,
mhm.
and I going through downtown Bel Air, and it's like ghost town, nobody around.
Right.
So, And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I hold the restaurant industry near and dear to my heart, And how has the pandemic changed? Because I know you started during the pandemic and now we're coming out of it. What's different? How's your business model changed? Has
There's
it changed
not
any?
so we've seen like obviously takeout was an important thing, but when we started, I think it was in that phase of like people trying to come up for air in that first quarter of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2021. So people wanted to go out, right? The people who restaurants were starting to reopen, but we were on limited capacity. And then you saw um and then you saw a boom in the summer business and the spring and fall, like our dining area. Like we have a huge outdoor dining area downtown, and it was so busy. And it was, but what we also saw was, and this is something we've been talking a lot about internally, when that first chill hit, it was the first weekend after Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
combined with daylight savings time, which I wish they were getting rid of that because,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a goat. Like our dining, like our food, just it dropped off. Like
Okay.
we have weeks right now that are rivaling what we did last November total.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was scary how slow things got in November. They picked up again in December, but what happened was our takeout business took off and has continued to take off and grow. And our dine-in, like it was good. Like I'm not shaking a stick at it. We do a good amount of dine-in, but it's not like what it was last year. But now our takeout business is so good and our delivery business that it doesn't even matter.
Okay.
Um,
And
so that's
and do you
kind of
use I'm
that's the
sorry.
change that we saw, I think, is people have shifted. They're not so obsessed with outdoor dining, and they're not. I think when everything opened back up, we were in a there was no competition. A lot of places were closed. A lot of places weren't doing dine-in. A lot of places were out of business. There wasn't a lot. I wasn't competing with the aquarium and the zoo, and you know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean. Like there's all
Right.
those
Right.
other. I wasn't competing with events and concerts, but at the same time, like we were busy because we were open, and now we have the benefit of things around the corner from the Fillmore, so we're getting business from that. Uh, Power plant's back open. I did one of the first concerts back in the fall, in the summer at Power Plant, the first allowed to have
Mm-hmm.
concerts again. We've seen like Power Plant's busy every weekend. Ram's Head has a calendar again. Soundstage is like, so we're seeing that as well. So um,
Right.
learning, kind of having to learn to exist with the world being normal was our change out of folks
Right.
because we've never had to do that before.
Right. Right. And then, do you see an uptick in people coming and dining in your locations now? Is that starting to come up?
It's been steady. It wasn't last summer was great. Like comparing a lot of the numbers, last
Sure.
summer was crazy with dine-in because we had the huge outdoor. It was busy every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
The outdoor area because people wanted to eat outdoors.
Right. And people
And
wanted to get out of their house and eat again because
right,
they were tired of being stuck in.
much hope it just wasn't as busy. There wasn't so many things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this advantage that we were open and we were able to do high volume, but our takeout and delivery grown so much that like if we do see a drop, our numbers we did last November, it won't even matter at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's pretty good.
yeah,
That's pretty good. Great. Anything else you want to add?
no, I mean we're excited to be here. We're come check us out if you're into or fine dining pizza. Now it's just high quality pizza. There's we just like to showcase local flavors when we can, local produce, highlight local farmers,
Right. Right.
trying to do the best we can.
Right. Awesome. So one last thing. Obviously, you know what I do, right? You know what my business is about.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to do a little secret shop on your Towson location.
Okay.
It was pretty good.
Okay.
I like
depending on
to
the
talk
date.
to. Yeah, I like to talk to you about it. If if you have some time to talk about it, maybe off the air,
Yeah,
we
sure.
can sit down and talk about it.
Yeah,
And,
we're always open. There's things we're just learning, and we're just always learning. So
yeah, and that's where I come in. I like to show business owners that there's constant growing, and if your industry, if your restaurant is doing what your mission is, it'll be a successful hit.
yeah, and that's kind of how we look at. I'm trying to look 3 to 6 months ahead at all times on like
Right.
this is gonna be. I'll say to my team under me like this is going to become a problem because this and this, right?
Right.
Like we had, and this was a big thing. Some isn't anymore. Like it's a big point of contention last fall. I
Mm-hmm.
remember that the middle of September, I looked around and I said, we're going to lose all this outdoor dining as soon as it gets cold and come up with outdoor dining. That was my
Right.
thought. And it just never got done.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we lost all the dining in November.
Gotcha.
Well,
Yeah.
it just went away. But like that's an example of how I look at every bit. I'm looking and going, this is shifting. Like we need to be ready for this shift.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to talk about it. Did you leave a review online that said, "Hey, it said you wanted to talk about it"?
Nope, that was not
Okay,
me.
somebody else said I just the review I forgot to reply to. Somebody wanted to talk about something. Well,
Yeah.
just
Nope.
wanted to give some
Nope.
feedback. Thought everything was good.
Yeah,
But
I'm very undercover with it, man. I like
cool.
to speak directly to the business owner.
Yep.
That's how I operate. But one last thing I want to ask you was because according to the National Restaurant Association, they were talking about from the time you acquire an employee till the turnover. They're saying on average it's $5,984. Can you verify that? What does it cost to acquire an employee?
I have no idea.
You don't know either.
We should look at that. I mean, it's in
Yeah.
terms of like, I mean, if we had to average, like, are you talking about like the hours that the management spends training them and all of that? Or
Yeah,
like,
from the beginning. Like let's say you're putting ads out, you're looking to hire, you spend the time interviewing, you spend the time going over the
and
applications.
what was their assessment?
They saying on the average it was
I don't
$5,984.
know. It's that for a restaurant.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It doesn't cost us that much, but it probably cost us like $1,000,
Yeah.
maybe 750. I wouldn't put because we're very rigid and it's all compartmentalized and like we do our training is like on the job
Mm-hmm.
and you train through like different roles.
Right. And
So
that's what I was going to ask you, if you do have a training program, something that you
it,
hold your
you
employees
start
accountable to.
right and you start at a very low level of like answering text messages and like handing out to go orders
Mm-hmm.
and then you move up
Nice.
and then we'll train you to bartend and we'll train you to manage and we'll train you to close and like train you to be a lead, like we do all of that stuff. So if anybody wants to work with us, like feel free. We pay really well too. We pay all staff, servers, anyone in the tip pool gets a minimum of $12 an hour or two wages in Maryland, and then
Uh-huh.
kitchen minimum 15 an hour, and there's a tip pool that goes to the kitchen too because their ability to put out the food is just as important as everyone's serving.
Man, you nailed it, Evan. I tell you, man, because I was just about to talk about that, how we seem to forget about the process of when a customer comes in your location, they're not just eating your food, man. It's you got a host or a hostess, you have a server, you have people cooking that food, and all of those people combined really is what makes that customer's dining experience.
Right, and you have to incentivize people to move. I mean, we're not turning over 600 pizza tickets in Baltimore because like with a slow kitchen, like
Right.
it's not possible. And some of the stuff we do, like I'll talk to other pizza people and tell them like, hey, we're doing this and this, and they're like, oh wow, and then they'll say, oh, so you're doing this much thinking our ticket number is one number, and I'm like, no, we're doing like this much, and they're like, wow, like how much we're doing per ticket, how much we're like, all of it is just big, and it's a testament to the team working together and like being able to put out volume and having the equipment and being incentivized to do so. So 100%, it's a team thing.
Right.
And we also do stuff. I've heard some really sketchy practices by restaurant owners, like takeout tips, the restaurant just keeping those. So like those obviously go back to the team, and there's just ways that like I think restaurants shave off the top on some of those tips, and like making sure those all go back, not just go back in, but get
I think you went blank again.
I was.
It went blank again, but that's okay. Yeah, you went blank again. We were just talking about the tips, how they were. I think you nailed it pretty good. That you're giving the tips to who it matters, because I talked to several employees who are servers, and that's one of their biggest gripes is, they're not getting the tips that they should be getting.
Right. I mean, there's situations where like takeout tips, restaurants will just keep those. I'm like, we give those, like we pay overtime. Like to people who are like, yeah, I used to pull 80 hours a week at this place. And I'm like, you got overtime, right? And they're like, no. I'm like, but I guess it's just not audited often. And there's so many, when you think about it, there's so many restaurants. So like auditing to see who's paying overtime.
Right. And plus those new rules, right, about the hours that they work, so many hours, you have to give them all these benefits, so they keep them part-time and under those. I think it's under 12 hours.
Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah, I think it's for us. It's once we hit 50 something employees, and we're already looking at medical plans to implement, because like just playing by the rules, because we're shooting for the. So
I'm with you, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've heard horror stories about how other restaurants do it. We're focused on what we're doing and just making sure in order for me to focus elsewhere and make sure we can continue to grow and make sure we're putting asses in seats, I don't want to be worrying about is an employee happy and treating our customers correctly. And like the way to do that is make sure they're getting paid correctly.
Man, that's perfect. Exactly. That's where it starts, man. And, I actually talked to a guy, and he was very unhappy. And I said, well, what's the problem? He said, they're not paying me enough. Right. And I said, well, restaurants can only pay so much. They only make so much. And I said to him, I said, what if I could tell you I'd pay you 50 cents less an hour, talk to you about my program, and get you to work twice as hard? He said, you would never do it. And you know what? 15 minutes after that conversation, I told him what I did with my incentive program. He said, you know what? I'm sold. You got me. I would do it.
Right.
It's amazing,
Yeah.
how if you just care about your employees, man, they'll work.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
You absolutely have to create that culture.
Yep.
To get the output that you want.
Yep. And you've got the food, man. I'm telling you, I love it.
I appreciate that.
I'm gonna promote it. I got some pictures I'm gonna throw up, man, and on social media for you. I really I enjoyed it. I did. I liked the pizza. My kids liked it too, man. And you got something here,
Yeah, thank you so much.
And I'm looking to see 5,000 underground pizzas around the country,
Yeah, that's what we're I don't know how we get there, but we're looking at it.
Yeah, there you go, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well,
awesome.
Evan,
well, yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, dude, my pleasure, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today, man. And let's catch up after this call and get some time to sit down and meet and talk to each other, man. See what can help you.
Sounds
all
good.
Right, buddy. Thanks for your time, Evan.
See ya.
See ya.
You've been listening to the Q.A.C. Team podcast with your host, Charles Luttrell. Today, we took you beyond the restaurant table and into the kitchen with leaders and business owners in your community. For more information, visit us at QACteam.com or Facebook and Instagram at QAC.team. Thanks for listening.